Wonderful. Ben, are you ready? Okay. Wonderful. Thank you. Welcome all to Orono Brewing Company, and thank you for joining us today. Thank you to the folks online who are also joining. So, with less than 50 days out until Maine's gubernatorial election, Paul we know better. As we speak, he's probably outlining somewhere to voters about how his 8 years of chaotic and undisciplined leadership was somehow great for Maine's small businesses. We know it wasn't. And he's probably also saying that Governor Mills' dignity and competence somehow held us back. It obviously has not. Today, I'm joined here in Orono by 4 great business owners locally, including the owner of this lovely establishment here at Orono Brewing Company, who will tell you definitively that what Paul LePage is saying simply is not true. And they'll also tell you why Governor Mills is the governor we need. The reality is simple. Paul LePage's tenure was a disaster for our small businesses. Unlike what he'll tell you on the campaign trail, Paul LePage totally mismanaged our economy. After the Great Recession, under his leadership, we had one of the slowest recoveries in the nation, and that includes both by GDP and by job growth. Unlike what I'll tell you on the campaign trail, LePage raised costs for our small businesses. His tax shifts forced up property taxes and underfunded our essential services that our small businesses depend upon. Unlike what he'll tell you on the campaign trail, LePage repeatedly got in the way of investments that would have helped our small businesses prosper, from investments in broadband and obstructing attempts to expand broadband access, particularly rurally, and also funding for our job training programs. And unlike what he'll tell you on the campaign trail, his bullying, his extremism, his very chaotic approach to governing made our state less welcoming and forced our businesses to live in a world where at any given moment, they could be the next target for our governor's wrath. Just is not okay. As you'll hear from my friends here today, under Governor Mills, everything has changed. Governor Mills expanded healthcare access and brought down small business insurance premiums. Governor Mills is the one that made record investments in job training and rural broadband. Governor Mills is the one who, under her excellent stewardship of the economy and the management of the pandemic, led one of the best recoveries from COVID in the nation. Governor Mills has once again made Maine a welcoming state where people want to move to and tourists want to visit, not one in which is known nationwide for its governor's extreme policies and vulgar outbursts. And perhaps most importantly, Governor Mills recognizes that the foundation of Maine's economy is its people. Governor Mills has invested in people, from healthcare to education and more, because she understands that when you support people, you are strengthening the economy. The actions of LePage's administration could not have made it more clear. He's not in favor of supporting our people. But you don't have to take it from me. Today, we're joined by 4 business owners who are in Maine through both the LePage and Mills administration. In Joe's case, has owned a business through many administrations, and they can tell you firsthand how much has changed. First up, we'll hear from Heather Firth, owner of Orono Brewing Company. Thank you.
Thanks, Bev. Good morning. My name's Heather Firth, and I'm happy to be hosting everyone at Orono Brewing this morning. My partners and I started Orono Brewing in 2014 in a small basement in a downtown Orono space. In 2017, we purchased and rehabbed this former concrete facility, turning it into a production brewery and a vibrant restaurant and employing over 30 people. I'm here because I'm grateful for the leadership of our governor. Janet Mills has shown since taking office and throughout the pandemic. Her decisive leadership kept Mainers healthy and allowed us to reopen safely this season. During Governor Mills' leadership, our economy rebounded from the pandemic faster than I ever thought it could, and we've outperformed the national average since Mills took office. In contrast to the 2008 recession, when Maine was one of the slowest states to recover, it's amazing to see the progress that we've made. And we're lucky in Maine to have a leader who has made Maine a welcoming place for people of all kinds. It's no surprise that a record number of people have been moving to Maine in these past years. They see the quality of life that we have here, our world-class restaurants, and dare I say, breweries. It's no surprise that this is where they want to put down roots. This welcoming attitude has meant more customers in our door, and more visitors patronizing mine and other local establishments. Governor Mills has made it clear, regardless of the color of your skin, your gender, your religion, or your background, Maine has a place for you. And we're seeing the results in real time. Maine's the only state that actually got younger in 2021. And now, with the recent Supreme Court decision on Dobbs, wiping away nearly 50 years of precedent, the right to seek an abortion is once again at risk. Yet our governor has once again spoken loud and clear and told Mainers exactly where she stands, that we will not go back, we will only go forward. Our rights are protected with Janet Mills in the Blaine House. I sleep at night, easier at night, knowing that the access to reproductive care is protected. Just this last week, we teamed up with the Mabel Wadsworth Center in Bangor to raise funds to support the sexual and reproductive health services that they provided our community since 1984. We were honored to be able to collaborate with them. With states across the country rolling back abortion rights, it's so easy to see how this could happen to us too, if anti-abortion candidates win back control of our state government. For the sake of our state and our livelihoods, it's vital that we re-elect Governor Mills to the Blaine House. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Heather. Next, I'd like to bring forward Emerald Forcier. She is the owner of Penobscot Bay Weddings. Emerald.
Thank you. Thank you all. My name is Emerald Forcier, and my family very recently opened a wedding venue in Winterport on Penobscot Bay. There are a number of reasons why it's critical to my business and to my family that Governor Mills stays in the Blaine House. Of those reasons, one at the top of the list is her environmental policy. She has been an amazing steward of our beautiful state, and I remember a time when our property would not have been a beautiful wedding venue because of yellow foam, the lack of birds. Now we have beautiful water on Penobscot Bay, eagles and ospreys flying, and it brings back a lot of fond memories and pride in my family who fought to keep AES power plant from setting up shop across the river. When I think of Paul LePage, his support for offshore drilling and other things like that, I know that Governor Mills is the only one I can trust to keep my family's property and our sense of pride healthy, clean, and vibrant. Additionally, it is truly important not only to my business's value system, but to our financial viability that we are a pro-marriage equality venue. LGBTQ+ rights are human rights. They are critical beyond just your wedding weekend, every day of our lives, in fact. But it's something that's really important to our industry, that everyone has their right to marriage sacredly supported. And I know that Governor Mills is the only option here to make sure that our right to marriage equality in the state of Maine is safe for years to come. Also, healthcare is a critically important issue for my family and also for our business. I know that Governor Mills has expanded access to Medicare on her first day in office. In fact, I have family members who need these accesses, and we wouldn't be able to start a business if they weren't cared for otherwise. Additionally, while my business is in its infancy, we're dreaming of a day that possibly this could be our family's only gig. And if that were the case, under Governor Mills, we might have an option for affordable healthcare premiums as a small business. Right now, looking to a world where Paul LePage were our governor, I can't imagine that ever being an option for our family. So I could talk all day about why I think Governor Mills is the only option for Maine, but I'm just honored to be here and be invited to share a few reasons why it's critical to my family, to the health and future of my children, and to our business that Governor Mills stay in office. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to bring forward Mary Rush. Mary owns MERT Enterprises, an organization that supports people with intellectual disabilities. And she has owned MERT Enterprises for decades and can also talk a little bit about administrations for long term.
Thank you, Bev, and thank you for talking me into being here today.
No problem.
When I realized that the former governor was planning to run again, I'm thinking, oh, we can't go through that again. So I am here to hopefully help Maine keep moving forward and not going backwards. As Bev said, I'm Mary Rush. I own MERT Enterprises in Bangor. We've been in business for 30 years. We support some incredible people. We support 40 people in the Bangor area in their own homes and in the community. We employ 100 people. And, you know, in 30 years, we've lived through disasters. We lived through ice storms. We lived through 9/11. And of all of them, COVID, wow, that took the cake. And our homes and the people that supported them, we went through hell trying to keep people alive and vibrant and in their own homes and safe. And without the Mills administration being there and having our back through this process, we would not have survived. We got, from our first positive COVID test, we got support, we got phone calls, we got PPE. They were there. They were there with money for our support staff and giving bonuses. We survived through that. And I remember thinking more than once, I'm really glad she's our governor, because if we were in prior administrations, we would have been screwed. Prior administrations chose not to come into compliance with CMS federal requirements. The state of Maine is the last one in the union that does not have a transition to compliance plan in place. So in the middle of COVID, we were forced to start a validation process that was just an incredible undertaking. But the state of Maine has been with us in helping us get resources and getting funds in place so that we can transition and be in compliance, hopefully by the end of the deadline. This was an incredible nightmare that the Mills administration inherited. And they have taken it by the horns and has helped us get through and trying to get into compliance by next March. I want to close with talking about the direct support professionals. I'm proud to say that my children are one and work with me every day, and as well as the other 80 folks that I work with. Through the Mills administration, we were able to bring them up to a living wage and to be able to offer benefits and to give them a 401k this past year. Through all of this with COVID. In prior administrations, we received cuts instead of increases. We had people on waiting lists. We had places closed. The services that were out there for our folks was completely decimated. And it has been the Mills administration to bring that back into compliance and serving people across the state. So as a Maine citizen, as a parent, as a property owner, as a business owner, please join me in supporting Governor Mills for re-election to keep Maine moving forward and in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mary. Our last speaker today is not just a business owner, but he's also a sitting House member representing the city of Bangor. He's a former senator, For me, it was important that he was also a city councilor at the same time I was during the LePage administration and dealing with all of the cuts that we were seeing. I'd like to welcome Joe Perry, owner of Joe's Market, to the podium.
Thank you, Bev. Thank you, Orono Brewing Company, for allowing us to be here today for the press conference, and thank you for inviting me. I don't, honestly, I don't have any prepared remarks. I don't even know where to begin. I opened my first business in November 1992. I was elected to the Maine House for the first time in November of 1996. So I've seen just about everything that's gone on since the Angus King's administration, through John Baldacci, through Governor LePage, and today with the Mills administration. And it boggles my mind how LePage and the Republicans can claim they're the champion of business and tax cuts and such. I'm just going to give you a short list of things that Democrats did. Democrat control the House and Senate with Angus King and John Baldacci as governor. We cut the sales tax from 6 to 5%. We repealed the snack tax. We created the homestead exemption. We did that in the 118th legislature, created the homestead exemption. It started out as a $7,000 exemption off your property taxes on your homestead. It's up to either 30 or 35,000 now. It's over $600 off my property tax bill, and every property tax bill in Bangor and every property tax bill in the state of Maine for people's homestead. It's incredibly important property tax relief to people in the state of Maine. The Democrats created that. We fixed the circuit breaker program. The circuit breaker program is direct property tax relief to people based on income, and we've put it on the income tax return so everyone gets it, okay? It's just part of your regular return now, so it goes unnoticed, but that's vitally important property tax relief to people with the highest burdens. When we talk about businesses, in the 117th legislature, the Better program was created. That refunded the personal property tax on business equipment, which led to investment in places like National Semiconductor, Tam Brands in Auburn, helped the mills, the paper mills throughout the state. But after about 6 years, the business community said it's an appropriation and we worry it might not be there in the future. So under John Baldacci and Democrats, we repealed the personal property tax on business equipment. We got rid of it. Business community said that was the most important thing we could do for them, and the results seem to be proving it. These are the things that Democrats have done, and somehow LePage, under his administration, the sales tax went from 5 to 5.5%. The meals tax and car rental tax also went up. It was expanded. There's tons of new items that are taxed in the state of Maine under LePage. And God help us if, he balanced his budget by shifts. It was a shell game onto retirees. Retirees that went largely unnoticed, but now that there's inflation and they find out their pensions are capped, I think, at 3% CPI, and I think the first $20,000, it will be devastating to our retirees. Municipalities, during LePage's administration, I was on the Bangor City Council. The cuts to revenue sharing, general aid to education, general assistance, the counties, all ended up on our property tax bills. The city manager said it was $6 per thousand in Bangor. My business, if it has a $300,000 valuation, my little corner store, that's $1,800 a year on my property tax bill. And what did I see for savings on this supposed income tax cut? Nothing. These are the shifts that kill small businesses and working families. And God help us if LePage is elected and tries to fall through on repealing the income tax. These shifts will become unbearable for small businesses and working families. And now on top of it, you talk about businesses struggling, trying to find employees. Under the LePage administration, he tried to dismantle the entire workforce development program, turned away federal money for job training. What do we need more right now? That keeps people unemployed and underemployed, and ultimately keeps money out of the state coffers when people don't earn to their potential. So that the short-sightedness is just, it blows my mind. And things are tough enough. My sales right now, the economy's great. My sales in my little business are better than they've ever been in 30 years, but there's still significant challenges. And going back to an irrational policies that are thrown on people, confusion, I fear, as you know, it's hard enough, even with great sales, it's hard enough to keep a business going. I fear if we go back to what we had before Governor Mills, what it would mean to myself and a lot of small businesses. And so I guess that's what I've got. And if there's questions afterwards, I would all be happy to take them. Thank you.
Thank you all again so much for joining us today. Thank you to the folks that joined us online. What I'll do now is if some of the